Hey, it's your girl, Brittany Starks, aka your manifesting mentor. And this is actually my very first podcast in a long time. I published to this podcast channel about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. It's almost embarrassing to say how long, but you know what? Greatness takes time, and while I've been away, I've been working on me so much, and I am overflowing with lessons that I want to share. And so I'm back here on this platform to share some of the lessons that I'm learning as I am on my journey. If you've noticed, I gave myself the title, Your Manifesting Mentor. I don't really consider myself a coach. I like to consider myself just an example of someone who demonstrates what it means to intentionally manifest a life that I desire. And am I perfect in my process? Absolutely not. Because if you've lived long enough and you're on this manifesting journey, then you know that manifestation is not a perfect process. You run up against all kinds of thoughts and emotions and ideas and trauma and things that need to be resolved that sometimes get in the way of you experiencing certain desires that you may have. A lot of times we realize that timing, can play a factor, not because time actually exists, but because it may take a little time for you to conform or to transform your thoughts and emotions, practice behaviors and practice ways of existing. And that can take time. But I consider myself a mentor instead of a coach, because as a mentor, you get to learn from my experiences and learn from my journey. And I'll be totally transparent about, what my process is like as I'm moving through different parts of my life. And I hope that these examples that I'm sharing here can be a benefit to anyone who's listening, to know that number one, you're not alone. Number two, you are extremely powerful. You are a powerful creator, and you are creating your reality moment to moment in so many ways that we traditionally didn't fully understand, and that teachings like the law of attraction came about to pretty much get our attention and let us know that we are co-creators, but it only really scratched the surface, right? And so as we continue to dive into this work and we learn more and more about our existence and how we function or how we work in this 3D reality, and we learn from other master teachers like Neville Goddard, who teaches the law of assumption, which is something that I'm heavily studying right now because it cross sections with some of the other teachings that I'm learning in terms of quantum physics. One of my other master teachers right now is Dr. Joe Dispenza, and you've probably heard of some of his books, Becoming Supernatural, You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. These are some of his classics that I'm learning from as I process my journey. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the teachings on manifestation, I guess that's the term we're calling it these days, but we use manifestation as a phrase to describe how humans use their creative ability to materialize experiences and things into this 3D reality. But I almost feel like the term manifestation is so cliche. Leave me a comment if you think the same. Like I literally published my book in 2017, and it's titled I Want It All, and it's a vision book journal from manifesting dreams. And fast forward to all these years later, the past few years, I haven't even really been marketing the book that much because so much of the jargon that I used back then, it no longer has the same meaning for me. So I'm not even pushing it that way anymore. I do think it's a timeless tool, but these days I'd be sharing it in a different kind of way. And as you continue to listen to my channel, then you'll learn how I'm using tools like journaling and I don't quite make vision boards anymore, but I don't knock anyone who does. And I think they can also still be a powerful tool to use as you are demonstrating and proving to yourself that you are a co-creator in this reality. But back to my point, I don't even remember what I was saying. But to the point of manifestation and just sharing parts of my journey, one of the reasons why I wanted to hop on for this episode today is to share the importance of having solid routines that you can go to as you are, maneuvering through different phases of your journey while you're manifesting. And some of these routines should be things that help you stay grounded, stabilize your emotional state, because there are going to be things that happen in your reality that can be triggering, especially if you're trying to transition into a space of embodying the version of you that has the life that you desire. Your subconscious mind is going to reject a lot of that, and your reality is going to show you a lot of the old stuff, as Neville Goddard likes to say, the old man. And we get triggered by our reality because we are looking at things that feel so real and so permanent. And as Neville would say, that's all dead stuff. It's all the old man. It's all showing up because it's a reflection of who you've been. But who you are in this moment and who you choose to be moving forward is in your full control. So if you think about time is just there to logically make sense of the transitionary period, right? Like if you're looking at something in your reality that you no longer desire, time is there as a buffer, right? Because logically, you probably wouldn't believe something to happen out of thin air, although things happen out of thin air all the time. But logically, some things we just can't bring ourselves to fully believe. And so time exists as a buffer to help us navigate this 3D reality. But yeah, Neville talks about the old man and seeing the old stuff and letting the dead bury the dead, right? Like not reacting to our reality the same way, because all we'll be doing is recreating the same things. And so as you're navigating that journey, I'm on the journey myself, I found it to be helpful to have tools such as journaling. I no longer journal in a way where I talk about the day and things that happened. I think nowadays I use my journal in a way that is reflective, but not from the standpoint of talking about what was, but instead talking about who I was in certain instances and how I'm looking forward to changing or what I want to change. And then writing from the space of the change. So Neville has a tool where he talks about revision. So if something happened throughout my day that does not resonate with the life or the version of me that I'd like to embody, then I will go in my journal and I will revise that, and I will have inner conversations with a particular person that may be involved in certain circumstances that I want to revise. And I'll hear them saying certain things to me that validate or that confirm that what I desired actually happened, instead of the unfavorable things that might have happened in my reality. I will revise it to the outcome that I wish had happened, and I will do it in a way where that person is speaking to me as if it happened in my desired way, and I'm speaking back to them in that way. And that's a very powerful tool for reflection. I also started something that I learned from a coach. I hired a coach, guys, and I believe in getting help. I believe that there are others in this journey who may be farther along, and they may see things that you don't see, and they may have resources, and they may have wisdom that you haven't evolved into yet. And I believe in getting help. So I hired a coach, and I would say the greatest takeaway from that coaching session that I did was the routine of writing 15 things that I am grateful for every day. In addition to that, writing 10 I am affirmation statements, things that I can believe in this moment about who I am. And that can change from day to day, right? Because you're building your beliefs as you go along. And if you understand anything about human development, we grow our confidence by proving ourselves to be competent in a particular area. So like if I've done something repetitively and I've seen myself have success in that area, then I'm going to be confident in that area, and I'm going to grow and grow more and more in my confidence as I continue to see success in that area. So I write my I am statements from my growing competence. I am growing in my belief that I am God of my reality. I am growing in my confidence. I am trusting more and more each day. So some of my I am statements are not always written from the standpoint that Neville talks about of living in the end, because sometimes you'll find that if you make definitive or declarative statements that your subconscious mind rejects because you haven't seen evidence of that in your reality. You haven't lived it. You haven't had success in that area quite yet. So when you say certain I am statements, you'll feel the uneasiness in your body of your subconscious mind is like, yeah, right, that's not true. So what I find is that instead of making a declarative statement that is all the way in the end of the person who's fully confident, sometimes I'll have to make a statement that feels a little bit better, which is I'm growing in that role. I'm growing in my confidence. I am believing more and more. I am trusting more and more. I am developing stronger conviction more and more in that direction. And that's a tool that also has helped me as I'm writing my I am statements. The next list that I create is a list of 5 things that I love about me. And that goes to self-concept. A lot of what I'm learning on this journey is about, understanding that how you see yourself in relation to everything and everyone in your life is how you show up. And so you can only manifest according to your level of how you see yourself on different subjects, right? Like you can be super confident at your job that you are a leader and you have certain skill sets, but then when you go home, you can be super insecure in your marriage or in your relationship, or maybe as a parent, right? Like you might have had experiences that make you feel not so confident in those areas. And so understanding that how you see yourself is how you show up. And from the space of how you show up, that's how you are able to attract certain experiences and certain things into your reality. And so as you're understanding that, you'll understand that self-concept is very important. So one person that I've learned the most about self-concept from is actually 2 people. So one of them is an author, and I think I'm saying his name right, John C. Maxwell. Actually, no, that's not it. Maxwell Maltz is his name. He wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. You might have heard of it. I think that book is excellent for really breaking down the layers of self-concept and how to build your self-concept regardless of what your life experiences have been, and the importance of having a self-concept in order to experience success in whatever area of your life, and how to maneuver experiences where you feel like you were a failure, and how to not wear those labels. It's very, very classic personal development book. I learned about that book from a YouTuber, Dylan James, who talks a lot about self-concept, and he talks about manifestation, but more so self-concept, because he understands the psychology of how we create from our self-value, self-worth, and self-concept. So that list of 5 things that I love about me is a moment for me to reflect on the things that I'm actually loving about myself at the moment. And self-love is very key. It's bigger than love, though. It's more so perception. Like, what is my perception of who I am in this moment, in relation to this person, or in relation to this job, or in relation to the material things that I have in my life. Because you have a perception of who you are in relation to different things, and all of those things can be at different levels, right? Again, like I mentioned, you can be super confident with one particular person in your life, and then another person makes you feel super insecure, right? Like, those are two different self-concepts. You're the same person, you're one person, but our personalities are so complex. The human anatomy is so complex. The way we are made up is so complex that we're not, we're multidimensional beings. Like, we can exist in multiple states at once. Even in this one body that you're embodying, you can exist as a super confident and a super insecure person on two different subjects in two different areas of your life, but you're existing in this moment in those two different areas. So it's very fascinating the more you learn about this stuff. But back to another list that I create every day. It's a list of things that I manifested successfully or intentionally that I'm aware of. And I list about 10 things, and each day I might remember something totally different. Some days I repeat the things that I'm aware that I manifested. Some days I have completely new awareness that, hey, I actually intended for that, and here it is. And it's not just with things. Sometimes I will manifest reconnecting with a friend. Sometimes I will acknowledge that I manifested a shift in my perspective. Sometimes I'll acknowledge that I manifested a growing trust in my process, or maybe I manifested detachment from a certain thing that I wanted to happen, or a certain outcome that I wanted to experience. And so I've just compiled a list of things that I manifested, because what that helps me to do is to recognize how truly powerful I am, right? Like, we all are so powerful, and we have so many things that are occupying our minds and distracting us from ourselves to recognize how many thoughts go through our heads at any given day, right? And sometimes we let snapshots of moments that aren't working overshadow everything that is. And so when you compile this list of the things that you have manifested, it just brings your attention back to your power, your personal power, moment to moment, and what you're truly capable of when you put your attention on something. Because as Dr. Joe Dispenza likes to say, where attention goes, that's where your energy is. That's where your power to create from infinite potentials, that's where it lies, wherever you're putting your attention. So if I continuously bring my mind back to the things that I have already manifested, then that grounds me in a way that regardless of what's going on in my reality, I understand that circumstances are not permanent. Or as Dylan James likes to say, circumstances don't matter. They don't matter, right? Like, you are experiencing certain circumstances, but everything in life is temporary. Nothing is permanent, not even your existence. So when you can see it from that perspective, you understand that circumstances don't matter. People change their minds all the time. Circumstances change all the time. And so things that look or feel permanent on the surface truly are not. And when you make this list of the things you've manifested, you get to acknowledge your power, that when you shift your perspective and you intend for something and you focus and you discipline yourself and you show up consistently in that thought of being successful, being victorious, trusting in your process, trusting in your creative ability, as Neville would like to say, as God of your reality, then you empower yourself in that moment, right? You know, it's something that I call listing the evidence. When you list the things that you've manifested, you're listing evidence of or proof that you are a co-creator, that you are a God of your reality, and that you are creating from your intention and from your attention and from, where your focus goes. And so I just wanted to hop on here and share that. I did talk about a lot, but I really wanted to hop on here and share that this has been a part of my routine as I'm navigating my journey. There's so many areas of my life that I'm working to improve day to day. It's not a perfect journey. It's not a perfect practice. But as your manifesting mentor, I'm here to share and show you that all things are possible, regardless of what you see, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of circumstances. Because again, circumstances do not matter. And you can literally create, do, and be anything that you persist in being and doing and having. And that key word is persistence, because again, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have tough days. You're going to feel like you failed some days. And what matters is that you pick yourself back up and you don't quit and you don't give up on the process just because it looks like you're not getting what you want or you're not experiencing what you desire. And understanding that you can work with this linear time. And as the days go by, you don't have to wear the heaviness of life. You can actually exist in higher vibrations if you can bring yourself to heightened levels of awareness and put routines in place that help you lift your spirits and lift your thinking and lift your emotions from low vibrations to higher vibrations. And that allows you to then be in the receptive mode of all the goodness that you desire. Because it's hard to get to goodness when you're stuck in the lows and the lows of life, right? Like you tend to experience more bliss, more positivity. Cool things happen when you're existing in a higher vibration. If you ever take note of when good things happen to you in your life, it's usually when you're not expecting it. It's usually when you're not bogged down by low vibrational energy, but instead you're probably neutral or either feeling really good, and then boom, you get some good news, or someone calls you and thinks about you and lets you know, or something good comes in. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share today. I'm not going to make any promises because I don't like to make promises. I just like to show up and demonstrate. But stick around on this channel because there's more of insights like this that I look forward to sharing, as well as just more stories that I can share with you about how I'm navigating my manifestation journey, and tools and resources that I'm using that I think can benefit others. So yeah, stick around. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to coming back on here again soon. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Make it a good one. Find yourself some good routines to keep your spirits up, up, up. And let's be powerful co-creators.